the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Bass, so despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Dylan Beavers! Absolutely destroyed! The first pitch of the last home game of the season in the bottom of the ninth. Dylan Beavers demolition derby. The Orioles close Camden Yards for the season with a walk-off home run.
Yesterday on Masson, and thank you to the Orioles Twitter account. Video of Dylan Beavers' walk-off home run. Neat moment. That was fun. The Orioles were trailing, then a big game-tying home run.
How many times have we said that this year? Orioles fun in the same sense.
More in September, obviously, than we had previous to that. What is it that they didn't have a walk-off win?
They were the last team to get a walk-off.
And now they've had six in the last month?
Yeah, 6 in the last 23 home games.
How about that? How about that as the Orioles do rally to win yesterday?
I love a good Beaver shot.
There we go. That's our guy. Stan the Fan Charles in studio with us on a Friday. As the Orioles played their final home game of the season. They will play 3 in New York this weekend to wrap up the year. Stands some consternation from a few folks yesterday because after that scene and then throwing Dylan Beavers the football as he came home, I was a little bit worried that we're going to find out there was like a rule that said you can't have a prop before you cross home plate. And as Griffin shared and we joked about on Twitter, in college baseball, they actually would have shot you right on if you attempted to do that type of celebration. In college baseball, they are.
It's a no-no.
Oh, no. But you know, that was fun. And then some.
I mean, they've never given a helmet before entering the dugout.
The dugout, right? Yeah. Correct. A lot of people not thrilled with the fact that the players didn't go back to salute the fans afterwards, as we've seen a lot of times. Even when you lose in the playoffs, if you lose at home, typically the players will come back out and take their caps off. We see it all the time in hockey. That's a very popular thing to do, is have all the guys, even if you lose the Stanley Cup Finals at home, you're all supposed to go gather at center ice and thank the fans. We did not see Orioles players.
So are we equating this to losing the Stanley Cup?
Yes, very similar.
I think if this were the World Series and they had lost it.
You do see it in a lot of circumstances where when you know it's the last time you're at home that year, where guys go back to do that. And I don't think there was any malice intended.
No.
I don't think that anybody was like, you know what, F them fans. I don't think that was the case. But it was odd in hindsight that maybe nobody said, hey, guys,
I didn't
run back out there real quick.
I didn't really think about it. I didn't really think about it.
A lot of people did, which again, to be fair, if I hadn't seen that, I probably wouldn't have. It probably wouldn't have been a thought.
If you were there, maybe it would have felt a little different. But yeah, I didn't think anything of it until
Twitter started. I think a bunch of people did. I know Danielle Allentuck was one of them, but a bunch of people started bringing it up on Twitter, and there's something to be said for that. That it's just something that we're used to seeing.
I'll tell you something that's bothered me, and it's bothered me more and more when the team got good again. Is whatever happened to the curtain call after home runs?
After big home runs?
After big home runs, that's something that was electric to me in Memorial Stadium and in the early years of Camden Yards.
Well, did the Orioles really have?
I guess that's
Schwarber. Every home run he hits in Philly is a big home run. Cal Raleigh did one the other night.
I guess.
But we haven't had it in 10 or 12 years.
You don't think the Orioles have?
No.
There have been a few.
No.
Chris Davis definitely got one on opening day. The one time where he hit the 3-run
well,
homer
that's
late.
that's a different story.
To the point, part of it, when there's not a raucous atmosphere,
Right.
it does become more difficult for a smaller crowd to ask for a curtain call. But
I think that's a little bit of what probably went on yesterday. If the place had been 45,000 people, I think they might have come out for that. There was 15,000 people there.
it's an interesting dichotomy. It's an interesting, chicken and the egg kind of question there, right? Like if somebody would say, "You want more people to come out, then show them appreciation
Hit
for
more
it."
walk-offs.
Yeah, right? do those types of things. But yeah, whatever. It's a neat moment. It's all it is. It's not nothing more than that. It's just a neat moment. And for anybody that went to the ballpark yesterday that looked like it was going to stumble into a loss.
It's just in this day and age where everything we talk about late night TV, it's really not about the ratings. It's about getting moments that you can
clips
put on
YouTube.
social
Yep.
media.
Mhm.
And if the Orioles are trying to promote an exciting atmosphere at the ballpark, I think the encore after big home runs would go away towards creating some excitement at the ballpark.
Does it feel fabricated when the team isn't very good, right? Like, does it feel...
Yeah, but that's my point.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, they were pretty damn good, and I don't recall.
Well, I was trying to think, like, could you have done a curtain call after Kobe Mayo hit a home run in the 8th inning yesterday? It was a big home run, right? It tied up the game.
I could have seen a curtain call after that.
But does it feel kind of contrived? Because, like, this doesn't really matter. You're going to be a losing team no matter what.
If they're going to start doing it, it's going to be contrived at first, and then it's going to be accepted as part of the
I don't know.
atmosphere.
I mean, I think you need to do something pretty spectacular for, like, the 3-home-run game. Like, that's obviously going to warrant, it's hitting 60 home runs. That's going to warrant
I think a
curtain call.
game-tying home run late in the game, Dylan Beavers home
Keegan
run.
Aiken very easily could have given up 8 runs in the very next inning.
But
like
they didn't.
Right after that.
But they didn't.
You're right, they didn't.
It's an interesting conversation, actually, because I'm trying to think about, to your point, Griffin, it does feel like, this type of moment that it's going to whoop a crowd into a frenzy enough so that the players got to go back out. It does feel like it needs to be really big
maybe
in order to get that to be the case.
The
but
other one
it's still chicken and the egg, right?
Gunnar
Like,
had that go-ahead home run in the 8th against the Mets earlier this year. Like, that was one of the bigger moments.
I don't
that
even
wasn't
remember
like a walk-off.
it.
You don't remember that
don't even remember it, to
This
be
year,
totally
I'll
honest with you.
be
Yeah,
the
there's
first to
nothing.
admit that they didn't have an awful lot of great moments. So I wouldn't have said they should have had 40 encores
Yeah,
this year.
how many memorable? We're gonna do a best of issue at the end of the year. How many truly memorable moments will there be? Obviously, the September 6th thing, right? Like that one will be.
That's the Dodger game. Right?
Yeah, that's the
That was
one,
Glenn's
right?
birthday.
Yeah, that's why everybody remembers it. Obviously, that's the one that you can point to. What other truly? Maybe Cedric's last couple of catches in the final week before
Well,
he
there was
departed.
the
That was the Mets series, I think.
there was the and then there was the
And that's where we're at, right? Like,
this year.
I genuinely don't know.
Dean Kramer went 6-7 innings a couple times.
But you don't think some of Santander's home runs last year?
Yeah, no,
and
I
in
understand what you're
23
saying.
yeah.
I'm actually kind of evolving the conversation and saying, like,
this year was
wait,
not
how many truly memorable moments when we get to doing best of at
Like,
the end
if
of
we
the
did
year?
5, Brandon Young, 21-31.
Probably we would
Maybe
say
Samuel Basayo's
we would say
walk-off.
Trevor Rogers start in Boston.
Yeah.
Like that for sure would be there.
Even
I would
then,
say
that was
No,
I
I
would say an
disagree.
awful lot of Trevor Rogers starts.
But how many of them are truly memorable? How many do you truly remember other than to
I
say
don't know,
he was
going
really
8
good?
innings in Wrigley Field and losing, that's almost like that was
But
almost
that's the thing. It's not truly memorable because they lost. The Boston one is truly memorable because at that point we were all rolling our eyes at the idea of Trevor Rogers pitching for the major league team.
Right.
And then he went out and he shoved, and you were like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I wonder what that might turn into. And again, at the moment, it was nothing. At the moment, it was he didn't go into the rotation. It still took a little while before he was back in the rotation, but we all remember that start in Boston as when the pitching kind of turned around for the Orioles, and that honestly was the reason why they won some games in the second half of the season. But so those are, to me, the three, right? There's 21-31, to your point, Brandon Young in Houston, and Trevor Rogers' first start in Boston. And the argument for Basayo's walk-off, like, okay, but I don't know, man. I had forgotten about it until you just reminded me. I can't really think
Maybe
of
because
any.
I was there, I guess that's why. But
Yeah, that adds to it. I can't really think of anything else that you would put on the, the highlight reel that we would say
Jackson
that
Holiday walking to break up the Jacob deGrom perfect game.
Maybe opening day. O'Neal hitting a home run, Rutschman.
Okay.
Oh, you
hitting
mean
a
in
home
Toronto?
Run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm like,
Remember way back
yeah,
then?
yeah, I definitely thought the Orioles. I was like, yeah, we're good, baby.
I know. All these
They're
guys are going
good.
to hit 30 home runs, every single one.
Look at all this.
Now nobody even touched 30.
It's
Anyone even touched 20?
20.
How about
20.
did Jackson Holiday hit a grand slam this year?
Did he?
Maybe.
He
It
did last
sounds
year.
like he might. Well, we remember that one. The
Okay.
one last year we remember. Did he hit a grand slam? He might have hit a grand slam this year. But
I think he may have.
I believe you.
Holiday
I
Grand
believe you.
Slam. Yeah, on April 16th, he hit
Yeah,
a
see,
Grand
there's
Slam
that.
Yeah.
against the AL Central leaders of the Cleveland Guardians.
There
That
you
is
go.
a big hit.
There you go.
Did they win this game? I don't know.
There's a competition going into the final weekend for who's going to lead the Orioles in home runs. Jackson Holiday was 17. Gunnar Henderson was 16. I don't think anybody's getting to 20 home runs this year.
Did it? What's O'Hearn at? Like in
Mayo's
San
coming on
Diego?
fast.
I think Laureano ended up
Right.
hitting 20 something during, including his
Mayo has hit 10 for the record.
Yeah.
He has hit 10 this season. So yeah, there you go. It was a neat moment at the ballpark. That was what we were trying to say there. Coming up on the program in about 10 minutes, Brandon Noble's going to join us, former NFL defensive lineman. He's on the call for Ravens Chiefs for Sports USA Radio on Sunday. Later on,
Brandon Noble play for him.
played in Washington for sure for a while. Where else did Brandon Noble play? Brandon Noble.
Laureano has 24 on the season for whatever that's worth. I guess nothing.
Nothing is the answer. You're right about that.
Who had 24?
Ramon Laureano's got 24 on the year.
Brandon Noble also played for the Dallas Cowboys, briefly with the 49ers, and, of course, you remember him most as a
Chicago Bear.
Barcelona Dragon.
Ah.
That's where you most remember him for.
Oh, he's a
Loved
Penn
him.
State guy.
Ill-fated
Loved him as
World
Dragon.
Football League, which I believe they changed to NFL Europe before it defaulted. Remember, NFL teams used to send some of their fringe guys
To Barcelona.
over to Europe in the off season, and they would play in what was like the UFL.
Who was that offensive lineman the Ravens had with the really odd last name that
Ogden.
played over there like 2 or 3 years?
odd last name.
I'm not confusing it with Ramon Laureano, but was it a name like
Leary something.
it was a long,
I definitely
it was a
remember.
long-
I definitely remember Dan.
Luzapan or God,
Not. I definitely remember Dan Cody being over there
this was a
because
long name.
this is the most random story of all time.
Illuminori.
Jermaine Illuminor?
Yeah.
Jermaine Illuminor was from London, but that league had been gone by the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's still in
that,
the NFL.
Yeah, that league was gone. I think I did see him play, maybe
See
for the
with New York?
Giants this
Yeah.
weekend. But Dan Cody, who they had high hopes for, and I believe was a second-round pick. This is so random, but when I was doing a show on ESPN Radio 1300 in 2006, I had gotten a message from Trent Smith, who was a fringe tight end.
Troy Smith? Oh,
No, Trent Smith. And Trent said, hey, man, how about I call into your show and tell you what it's like being in Europe? And I was like, all right, man, sure, by all means. And this is when we were doing like 4 to 8 p.m., so like everything after 6. It was such a weird time to be doing a show. Everything after 6 was very odd. So I'm like, yeah, by all means. It's late over there, call in. And like, he's drunk. Just drunk. And I said, have you learned any French? He said, yeah, hang on, ready? Konnichiwa. Like, it was train wreck, but good train wreck. Like the type of train wreck radio that like was really good. And then he randomly said, here, talk to Dan Cody, who I had no idea was in Europe with him. And he hands the phone to Dan Cody. I'm like, wait, what? Dan Cody's on this team? Because they would do, it was the Arizona Fall League. It was just in Europe at the time. But yeah, we'll talk to Brandon Noble about Ravens Chiefs. Also, Jane Leavy, longtime sports writer, baseball writer, and author, is going to join us. Her new book is called
That's my wife's name, Jane Leavy.
That's was it really?
It's spelled differently.
With just L-E-V-Y?
She's L-E-V-Y.
But Jane's going to join us and tell us about her new book, Make Me Commissioner, and how she would fix baseball. So we will do that a little bit later on in the program. As far as stuff from yesterday, by the way, today's show is brought to you by Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, Frederick, and Columbia. As I tell you, peptide proteins have been great for me. It might be that you actually are low T. If you are a man of a certain age, you're feeling sluggish, you're feeling run down, I would encourage you to check out Game Day Men's Health. They will offer you a complimentary, free testosterone test. Just find out. Get the answer. If you are low T, they've got a treatment plan for you. If you're not, but yet you say, yeah, but it was me. I was not low T, but I still feel the way that I feel, they can help. If you're dealing with performance issues in the bedroom, stubborn belly fat that just won't come off, they have some of those treatment plans as well for women. We call it Game Day Men's Health, and it is meant for men, but if it's something that you're dealing with or a woman you know is dealing with, that they can help as well at Game Day Men's Health. Owings Mills, 443-264-4454. Columbia, 443-266-3505. Frederick, 240-931-3717. One interesting tidbit from yesterday, the tidbit that wasn't quite as interesting was when Zach Orr was asked about Nnamdi Madubuike, and he was like, I'm looking forward to seeing him back out there. And we're like, that's not what John Harbaugh sounded like the day before. The day before, John Harbaugh sounded like we're probably not going to be seeing Nnamdi Madubuike anytime soon. But Zach Orr came up in conversation as Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton was asked something a bit more broad about the performance of the defense. And I'll let you listen to it, courtesy of Jamison Hensley's Twitter page, and then I'll react to it. This is what Kyle Hamilton had to say about the defense and ultimately about Zach Orr.
Matter of you guys making more plays.
What was the last part?
It's just a matter of you guys making more plays.
Yeah, I don't think it's whatever criticism he's getting. I don't know. I feel like sometimes Ravens fans can be a little spoiled, just like the amount of success that this franchise has had. We lose 5 games and the world's about to end. I think on Zach, it's unfair to put all the blame on him when there's 11 guys out there on the field that are playing their hearts off, and he's put us in the right positions. It's just a matter of us doing the right stuff, and that's where I feel like the critiques of Zach or whatever coaches are unfair, because he can't go out there and play for us. And as much as he'd want to, he can't. So it's up to us to go out and get the job done. So it's not a Zach thing. It's not a coaching thing on the defensive side of the ball. It's just players got to get the stuff right.
So it's an interesting thought on 2 levels to me. The first is there's absolutely truth, as always, in what Kyle Hamilton is saying. The Ravens missed 20 tackles last week. 20 times. They were in position to make the play and didn't make the play. And so Kyle Hamilton's right about it. It's a conversation that we have a lot when it comes to we just brainlessly always put everything on coaching, is that sometimes the answer is just the players have to make the plays. And that specifically last week, you would point out, when you miss 20 tackles, that it's hard to say that's Zach Orr's fault. You were there. You had the chance to make a tackle. You didn't make the tackle. 20 times during the course of a game. It's kind of absurd. So in that way, Kyle Hamilton has a point. I will always push back on there is never a win. You will never win, ever, 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 fighting with fans as a player. Ever. There's nothing to be gained from that. The Ravens fans are a little spoiled. We lose 5 games, it's the end of the world. Well, it should be the end of the world to you. It doesn't matter whether it's the end of the world to the fans or not. You should be furious about that. And it's one thing to say, hey, we know in the NFL teams are more likely to lose games. Like, it's very hard. Very few teams have ever gone undefeated through the course of a regular season. It's happened, but it's very rare. But you should be pissed off about it. You shouldn't be worried that the fans are pissed off about it. You should be pissed off about it because those 5 losses are, right now, it almost seems impossible that the Ravens are going to have the number 1 seed in the AFC. That basically is out the window. You're already 2 games down to the Bills and the tiebreaker. Like, short of Josh Allen getting hurt, it seems impossible that you're going to end up getting, I know it's not impossible, but it seems impossible. So you should be pissed off about it. And you should be the one to say, hey, this is unacceptable. It doesn't matter what the fans think. I, Kyle Hamilton, am telling you, this is the way the defense is played is unacceptable. I don't care what the fans think. I feel that way. His point about Zach Orr,
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to come out and criticize his coach at this point in time. You know, what bothers me is this is the second straight year at the beginning of the season.
100%.
This guy's been the defensive coordinator 2 seasons. And, yes, they did pick it up tremendously, and I'll give him some credit for that. I give Dean Pease an awful lot of credit as well. And our hope was that with Chuck Pagano there this year, and this isn't a criticism of Chuck, maybe he hasn't really been asked to really get more involved, but I think it's coming pretty soon.
Look, I think the next couple of weeks are really important to Zach Orr.
No question about
it. Earlier in the week, I would have said I thought this week was more important. That opinion is not held throughout football. There's not the opinion if the Ravens get gashed by the Chiefs on Sunday, then they're going to fire Zach Orr. There is the opinion that the bye week might matter to Zach Orr, that if in the next 3 weeks the Ravens continue to look woeful defensively, that could become a problem spot and could end up impacting Zach Orr. But I'm not reporting that. I'm just telling you the opinions. I've talked to some folks around football, and that's the opinion that they hold. And so I'm leaning more towards that than I am that this game defines Zach Orr.
Who do we have the next after Kansas City?
The
We've
Texans
got Philadelphia,
and the Rams. No,
Texans
and the Rams.
Texans,
Rams bye.
Rams bye.
So the 3 weeks here.
Yeah.
And again, none of us think the Texans are very good right now, but they still have talent, and I do think at some point they'll be better than what they've been so far.
Is that game in Houston?
That's in Houston, and then they're home for the Rams.
Right.
And so no, they're both at home, right? Yeah, they're both at home. Yeah, because this is the weird part of the schedule. They don't go on the road for a month.
Okay.
Because then there's the bye, and then there's another home game after. They don't have after Sunday. They don't have a road game for a month, which is wild. Just a wild way that the schedule works out. So yeah, to the point, if they struggle against the Chiefs, but yet then the defense looks much different against the Texans and the Rams, then they're probably going to be all right, and they're probably not going to make a change. But I do think that the next 3 weeks matter, and part of this is the Ravens aren't going to overreact because they also know the reality in their division. They know that even if they were to fall to 1-3 on Sunday, they'd probably still be the favorites to win the AFC North, which is
it's kind of bonkers, but it's the reality.
That's the
with
reality.
Joe Burrow down,
and the Steelers just sort of looking meh.
Yeah.
Like they could be 3-1. They could absolutely beat the Vikings. They could be 3-1, and yet nobody is going to fear the Steelers moving forward or think the Steelers can run away with the division or anything along those lines.
Right.
So all of those things are factors, right? Like they're all in this conversation. But I do think that Zach Orr has to be under this. And yeah, you're right. Kyle Hamilton's not going to be the one to say that. He absolutely doesn't need to say that. But all Kyle Hamilton needs to say is, it doesn't matter what fans think. We have to be better, all of us. And he can even say that Zach Orr is included with that. We every single one of us, has to be better. What we've done isn't good enough, period. It's unacceptable, and we have to be better. That's it. There's nothing else to be gained from.
Yeah, all the editorializing about the fans.
The spoiled.
They're spoiled.
Who cares what fans think? Are you not pissed off? Are you not angry that the defense has cost this team 2 of the 3 games? Like, are you not pissed off? Derrick Henry's pissed off. And Derrick Henry was the best Raven on the field in the Buffalo game.
Yep.
And he's pissed off. And I'm not Kyle Hamilton's the one defensive player that we probably say has actually been good so far this season, right? I'm not really trying to fight with Kyle Hamilton. It's just that there's nothing to be gained.
I would take him in a fight with you.
Yeah, I think that he would have a slight advantage. Slight advantage. In that
now,
scenario.
if Griffin
maybe
were
like
allowed to help you.
Oh, you're saying the 2 of us you think would have a shot?
No question.
I still don't
I'd
like
just
the
run
chances.
and I'd let him take.
Griffin's
Thank you,
a
buddy.
dirty
Appreciate it.
fighter.
Oh?
Griffin's a biter.
I did not
He's a
know that.
biter.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that was the one thing that was said yesterday that was interesting. Real quick, and then we're going to talk to Brandon Noble. As far as the injury report is concerned, the only good news was that Travis Jones did return to practice yesterday after he missed on Wednesday. Obviously, Travis Jones did not look good on Monday night. They're going to need much more. However, Broderick Washington still remains sidelined, so the Ravens still extremely depleted along the defensive line in particular. Isaiah Likely stacks another day of practice. We will see if he can get out on the field. We'll get one more injury report today. And then it's Ravens-Chiefs on Sunday in Kansas City, and our next guest will be on the call for Sports USA Radio. He is former NFL defensive lineman himself, Mr. Brandon Noble, and he is with us now here on GCR. Brandon, it's Glenn, and Stan Charles is in studio with me here today in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us, as always.
Yeah, always good, man. I'm always kind of anticipating that phone call or that text, right? That when I get a game with the Ravens, that I get to talk to you guys.
Well, this actually was Griffin actually made the wrong call this week. What we were calling about this week was to see how many snaps you might have in you for a depleted Ravens defensive line that just got absolutely gashed on Monday night. I know you're on the other side of 50 at this point. But, like, you got to have, like, at least 10 to 15 in you, right?
No, I have thankfully, man, I have gone I am on the other side of 50, and I am on the low side of 250. So I would not help anyone right now in that regard. Although I might be as effective as the Ravens D-line was against the Lions.
You're not kidding, man.
Did that make you feel good, Brandon?
No, because, look, I love the Ravens defense. Like, I really do. Like, I have, to me, like, when I think about the Baltimore Ravens, as much as you go Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, right? You know what I mean? Like, that group, that offense. But, like, at the end of the day, like, I grew up kind of with that Raven, that my time in the NFL, especially that 2000 Ravens defense, right? Just all the way through. Like, traditionally, it's just such a strong unit. And to watch that game on Monday night, with the Lions, was surprising, right? Bluntly honest, I watched the Ravens play on week 1, and then I watched them again against the Lions, right? Just kind of with the way.
Stop watching the Ravens, Brandon, please.
Yeah, no, I know. So I'm sorry. I have to watch them again this week. I feel like we've had this conversation.
Yeah, we definitely have. We're right.
I think a couple things happened, right? They're very thin up front right now, and then they caught the Detroit Lions at a time when the Lions are trying to kind of reestablish their identity.
Yep.
And again, you know what I mean? And so that kind of combination of missing, Travis Jones not looking good, right? Broderick Washington out, Matabike out, right? You know what I mean? Like, that was terrible timing. And then the Lions basically Dan Campbelled them, right? Biting kneecaps, running duo, and just had their way with that front seven.
There's two things I want to follow up about that with, and I don't want to monopolize this conversation, but Brandon, I follow that up to say Kyle Hamilton had some comments yesterday going at bat and in defense of his defensive coordinator, Zach Orr. It's a weird thing trying to figure out what the line is because we know, as you point out, that the injuries are probably the biggest piece of the pie here, but those two guys, Matabike and Van Noy, were on the field for the Bills game, and it didn't work out well. This is the second straight year that the Ravens have gotten off to a very slow start defensively. Yes, they figured it out a year ago, but how much is the microscope on Zach Orr given what they've gotten off to in each of the last two seasons?
Well, I think that's very fair, and I do think that the microscope is on him, and there's probably a little sunshine behind it, so it's getting hot. You know what I mean? Like you used to do with the magnifying glass and the ants, right? You know what I mean? Like it's going to start heating up, but they did do this last year. Again, and I'm not making excuses for that defensive unit. They played terribly on Monday night. The Ravens have had maybe one of the toughest starting first 3 games in the NFL with the Bills, the Browns, who are a good defensive unit, and then the Lions, who, like I said, got kind of slapped around week 1 by the Packers and found themselves against the Bears and against the Ravens. But I do think that Zach Orr has to figure out how to overcome this again. And I think this week is huge for that. And I actually, as insane as it sounds, I think there's an opportunity for it too this week against the Chiefs.
I've got a quick question for you and I'm a big Eric DeCosta fan, but if you look at a baseball comparison to our baseball team this year, they knew they were losing their number 1 pitcher, Corbin Burns. He was going away via free agency. They counted on their number 2 pitcher, who was coming off a pretty serious injury last year. Their number 3 pitcher was going to miss 80%, 90% of the season with a Tommy John, and they went out and signed a number 4 and 5 starter. I'm wondering if the Ravens weren't counting too much on Green, the rookie.
Mike Green, yes.
Mike Green, the rookie,
Yep.
and David Ajabo, who have really given them very little this year. In the case of Ajabo, he hasn't really played much at all. When they had the chance to go out and at least sign a very solid stopgap in Jadeveon Clowney, and then when they got the injuries, we're incredibly thin up front. We're not getting anything. We don't touch the quarterbacks. We don't get them. We don't throw them off their game at all.
That's fair. That's a very fair comparison too. You know what I mean? And sometimes, front office guys, and look, the Ravens have been as good as anyone since the organization started as far as making the right personnel decisions. And maybe you're right. Maybe they wanted to rely on some young guys a little bit much and didn't bring in a couple older guys. I think my pushback there might be a little bit like I had the Steelers last week.
Yeah.
The Steelers went out and they've got a very good name defense, but they're all old.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see that they're old. Right. So there are always points in the NFL where you have to take your lumps with some young guys. But to your point, though, Stan, like those guys aren't really seeing the field. Right. So the other side of that is you got to get those guys out there a little bit more, get them involved, so they take their lumps early and learn the game, because it's a process, right?
Yeah.
Being a rookie, being a young guy in the NFL, it takes 6-8 weeks at times, sometimes a year before you really get comfortable.
Yeah.
He is Brandon Noble. He'll be on the call for Ravens Chiefs. You bring up why Sunday might be an okay matchup for them. I will eternally fear Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and particularly on the road. I think what you're alluding to is the Chiefs don't run the ball. So
yes, there we go.
I get everything you're saying, and I guess the flip side would be if the Ravens were to get gashed by the run again on Sunday, then maybe there really is like you might have to make some changes type of problem.
100%, 100%, and I think that's what again a glass half full thought process, right? Look, the Chiefs right now are also kind of struggling to figure out who they are offensively. And they're not a traditional run the football team, right? Isaiah Pacheco can run the ball as angrily and as physically as anyone. They've got Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey inside at guard and center. They have some tackle issues, but they have been such an explosive offense. And look, I played against Andy Reid a long, long time ago, and when he's a coordinator, when he's calling plays, he wants to throw the football. That is who he is. That is who they are. It's really hard for him to just lean into that run game. And the problem is, now I heard Xavier Worthy might have practiced this week.
Yeah.
I actually haven't got all my reports yet from the Chiefs. The Ravens have been great, but I haven't got everything from the Chiefs yet. But Worthy practiced. So just, what's he like when he comes back? But they don't have the ability to push the ball down the field like they used to. Everything is going kind of, I think Mahomes only has 3 or 4 touchdown passes, 3 touchdown passes, and one screen. I mean, it's an absurd number, right? I looked at it and I was like, is this right? I had to go back and figure things out. They're struggling on offense right now. They 100% have Patrick Mahomes, 100% Andy Reid, and the Ravens have not been good out there at Arrowhead. So all those things agree, right? Favor Chiefs, but I do think that offense this is a great opportunity to take advantage of a Chiefs offense that is really struggling to figure out who they are, what they're going to do this year.
We're obsessing over, obviously, the performance of the defense because the Ravens have put up lots of points offensively this season. But 2 things that do jump out. The first, the only thing I can say about Derrick Henry fumbling the ball is you just got to keep giving the ball to Derrick Henry and hoping for the best. I don't know that there's a deeper conversation to be had. It is weird as hell that he's fumbled the ball in 3 straight games, but I don't think there's anything else to say other than you go back out and you try to dominate the game with Derrick Henry on the ground and just hope that this is an anomaly that we'll giggle about at the end of the year.
Yeah, because I do think that if you go back and look, I don't have my numbers in front of me, he had a couple stretches, right, where he had, 250, 300 carries without a fumble. And so it is an anomaly, right? It's a weird thing. And I do think you just got to keep handing him the football. I don't think you go away from it. Again, going back to that Steelers-Patriots game I had last week, Ramondre Stevenson, the tailback for the Steelers, fumbled twice. I mean, for the Patriots fumbled twice early in the game, and you didn't see him again, right? They got down to where they had their rookie running back in there. But yeah, you just keep giving him the football, right? He is the best in the business. It is not something that has happened a lot, but he has had a couple early this year, but I don't think you can say, oh, we're not going to give him the ball, because now you're making yourself left-handed.
I got a question for you about our offense, Brandon. As good as they are, with the way the defense is playing right now, are the Ravens offensively versatile enough where they can have a 15, 16 play drive a couple occasions in a game that might take that defense, our defense, off the field a little bit more?
The O-line is a particular part of that conversation,
Yeah.
right? Like, is the line good enough to be able to do that?
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of complimentary football, right? That's definitely been the talk around the league this week, right? Is like, oh man, like this offense is so good, right? With Jackson, right, and Zay Flowers and Bateman, right, and you know all of their people, right, and Lamar Jackson, right, and Travis Henry. Can they every once in a while play that complimentary style of football? Says, hey man, our defense is gassed right now.
Yeah.
We need to go chain together at least 2 sets of first downs, right? You know what I mean? Let's get 6-8 plays in here. Let these guys sit. That's a huge part of it. It is hard sometimes to make that happen when you're as explosive as you are. I do think, not having Pat Ricard in right now, right? You know what I mean? Like, you lose that, the O-line, right? You know what I mean? They're not the grinders that they necessarily have been, or at least they aren't playing that way. But I do think that Tom Monica needs to figure out how to do that a little bit.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is part of being a good football coach, right? From the top down. And look, Harbaugh is one of the best in the business, Hall of Famer, right? But, like, sometimes you got to say, like, hey, man, we need to get a couple first downs and slow things down here for our defense. Now, you always run the risk of being too conservative, right, finding that line. But there is something really key to that. Look, a great defense isn't a great – there's very few 2000 Ravens, 85 Bears. It's hard to do in football now, right? The game is built for offenses to score points. So you can't go out and smother someone defensively. And if you do, it's an anomaly. But it usually happens when your offense has the ability to control the football a little bit and keep you off the field.
Brandon, I hope you know I have such great respect for you. You're a hell of a football player. You're an awesome radio guest. We love talking to you. But I just need you to know, if this goes south on Sunday, I'm going to get on the phone with Al Gordon on Monday morning, and I'm going to say, please never again. Please.
Well, so just for a little bit of bad news, I have the Texans at the Ravens.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
Well, Glenn has enough power to get you pulled from that game.
Yeah, you think I can't throw my weight around a little bit? No.
You know, it might not be that you lose your job, but suddenly you got two broken legs. You know.
I don't know, you know, my family is Italian, Brandon.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair. No, yeah. I mean, look, I am a huge, I love the way the Ravens play football, and notwithstanding, I still believe they're one of the best football teams in the AFC. And sometimes, look, I've had the Lions once this year. I had them after they lost to the Packers. Sometimes getting that punch to the face is a good thing. And they got punched in the face on Monday night, right? Mm-hmm. Like the loss to the Packers, like week one, right? You're like, the Lions
Bills,
lost to the Packers.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right?
Yeah,
was kind of like, man, you're like, all right, they didn't get like blown out, but they got beat pretty good, right? And then I had them week 2 against the Bears, and they came out swinging, right? And they've used that momentum moving forward. And I think that if the Ravens can go to Arrowhead and win this football game, you've got a Texan team that's kind of struggling right now at home. You've got this opportunity to build a little of that momentum, and then in mid-November, December, nobody's even talking about this anymore.
Brandon, tell me real quick, how do the Ravens win this football game? What has to happen for them this Sunday?
Well, I mean, number one, I do think they have to have a little bit of that complementary football. I do think they have to be able to run the football against a Chiefs defense that isn't playing great right now. Against Spags is one of the best DCs in the NFL and has been for a long time. but they're not playing great football right now in Kansas City on either side of the ball. And I think that if they can control the clock a little bit, be physical up front, you know what I mean, run the football, keep that defense off the field, and then be creative. I think Zach Orr needs to dig into his bag of tricks a little bit and be creative with how they attack Mahomes and then compress the field. Right now, this will depend on Worthy and kind of is he back and what's he really like when he comes back. So it might take a little bit of feeling out. But the way that defenses have had success against the Chiefs since the Eagles kind of laid the blueprint out there, right, is compress the field, right? Defend the middle of the field because the Chiefs don't have that explosive guy outside anymore. And so I think you tighten things down, you make Mahomes, kind of work through the middle of the field, and then don't let them have that big play, but they don't have the big play threat. I think it's doable. I really do. And then let Lamar be Lamar a little bit, right? You know what I mean? Go work a little bit of that magic. But I do think it has to do with hand the football off. Obviously, don't fumble the ball if you're the big fella, King Henry. But I do think it's a winnable football game.
At BNoble75 is, of course, how you follow him. I hope that we'll be chatting again next week or around the other. I hope that's Brandon. You're the best, brother. But thank you for taking the time for us. We really
anytime,
appreciate
guys. Anytime, and we'll definitely talk next week.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Yep.
Watch stepping off those curbs, Brandon.
Noble, Sports USA Radio for Ravens Chiefs Sunday in Kansas City. Appreciate him taking the time for us. Single game tickets are on sale for Navy football. Don't miss the exciting home game schedule. It includes AAC matchups as well as the Commander-in-Chief rival Air Force on Saturday, October 4th. Don't miss all the exciting action in historic Annapolis at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Get your tickets today, NavySports.com. Go Navy, beat
Now, when
Army.
you say single game tickets,
Yes.
do you have to go yourself?
No, it's just for you can buy the tickets to the one game.
Oh,
You
okay.
can buy
A single
100
game
Yes,
ticket.
100
Okay.
of them if you'd like.
Okay.
It's
All
not a
right.
game
Okay.
for
I
singles. It's
I
not.
just like if I had a date.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
maybe
like if
you,
Jane wanted to go to see
Right.
the Navy.
Right, and maybe if you want to go meet someone, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
You could do that too at
All right.
Navy football
Okay.
game.
All right.
We continue here on a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Stan the Fan Charles is in studio with us, and maybe you could go to a game with this other Jane. Maybe that would be the case.
My Jane's pretty jealous.
I know. I'm about 8 chapters into her new book, Make Me Commissioner. And I got a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about with her. Some that we agree on, some that where we separate when it comes to this. Longtime baseball writer, legendary baseball writer and author. She is Jane Leavy, and she is with us this morning here on GCR. Jane, it's Glenn and Stan here in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Thank you for taking the time for me. And I expect people to disagree. That's what I want. I want to be provocative.
The only thing that it's funny because I don't disagree with you about a ton of things. I actually strongly disagree about the extra inning rule, though, Jane. I have to be honest about it. Like, I, at first, thought I was going to hate it. And then I saw it and said, oh, wait a second. No, this is the baseball that I liked. Like, this isn't just true outcome baseball. And I know some teams have just defaulted back to true outcome baseball at this point. But, like, this is the baseball that we were supposed to get. I get 9 innings of the other thing. You have a chance to win the game. Now, I'm good with it. Give me the, like, trying to move runners over and the things that, like, we fell in love with in watching the game that no one ever attempts to do anymore.
Here's the problem with that. I agree with you completely. But if teams are built to only do the true outcomes, then watching them flail away trying to cut down on swings that they can't cut down on and, effectively sacrifice or bunt when they're not taught how to do it is an embarrassment. And I don't think, teams are not built that way anymore. Have you ever watched Giancarlo Stanton try to shorten up on his swing? It's crazy. So I agree with you completely, but I think it's an unfair way to judge teams that are otherwise encouraged and incentivized to build the other way.
I'll tell you why I like it. I've grown to absolutely like it a lot, Jane, is how easy it is to score one run, when you start the inning with a guy on second base and no outs. And I find it fascinating how many times I go, oh, geez, they're going to lose now because they went ahead. The other team goes ahead 5-4, and then the other team comes back and scores 2 runs. I mean, I find it makes it very interesting in this day and age with so much swing and miss and not playing the game that we grew up loving. You know.
I think it's an unnecessary form of expedience. You know, I understand about the travel. I understand that, you know, when guys talk about baseball being a grind and grinding out at bats, they're also grinding out a lifestyle that has them, you know, like the Yankees arriving in Baltimore at 6 a.m. Last week, was it?
Yeah.
When the Twins scheduled a night game the night before they flew. So, you know, I understand all that, and I think that needs rearranging too. But the most important statistic to me is that 75% of extra inning games end in the 10th inning or after the 10th inning. So why are we legislating? It's like legislating for something that doesn't exist. I agree, much as I would mourn the passing of the great historical events like Marischal and Spawn in '62 with the stick. I also feel that let the games have a chance to end the way baseball's supposed to end for another couple of innings, and then you know if there's no scoring, then impose the ghost runner. But let them go through the lineup one more time, because I really think it's unfair to teams to say we only want you to play one kind of baseball, you know, home run baseball, but suddenly we're going to expect you to play the way you know they used to play back in the '60s, and it doesn't work that way. So I think it's a real unfair disadvantage to teams that are built to do only one thing. So, you know, Roger Angel, the great, you know, talk about a legend in sports writing and any kind of writing. You know, he pleaded with me shortly before his death, and you know, last interview we had. You know, please, God, get rid of the ghost runner in the 10th inning. Put it in the 13th. So, in Roger's name, I plea for the 13th.
Jane Leavy is with us. The book is Make Me Commissioner. We're linking it up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio for you to check it out. Jane, very fascinated, and I would tell you because I know Buck's a character in the book. Buck and I spent a lot of time recently. I think we did like 30 minutes talking about his experience hanging out with the Savannah Bananas when they were here in Baltimore, and what he and his wife Angela came away saying about it and what he thought he learned from it. It became sort of a talking point in sports media around here for the couple of days afterwards. What can we take from it? I know that's a lot of this chapter in your book, and I'm in a weird place because, as I always say, to me the Savannah Bananas aren't baseball, and when we judge baseball against the Savannah Bananas, that's unfair because that's not. It's a show, it's a movie, it's that just the same way that Bull Durham is sort of about baseball, but I do get what the idea of still prioritizing fans being paramount in the conversation. So what specifically, as you positioned it to Mike Rizzo, what specifically can baseball learn from the Savannah Bananas?
Well, Mike, as you know, his answer was, well, fan engagement.
Right.
And every time I said, well, what do you mean by fan engagement? Well, fan engagement. What the Bananas have shown Major League Baseball, and Jesse Cole's genius, Jesse being the guy who created them and the man in the yellow tux, is that people want to love baseball. They just want baseball to love them back. So some of the things they do, I completely abhor. I don't want to see people doing backflips in center field before making a catch. On the other hand, think about this. Just the other day, Jacob Young, a young Nats center fielder who doesn't hit much, but God, can he climb a wall, made a catch in which he climbed the wall, brought back a home run ball. It fell out of his glove as he fell back to earth, and he used his foot, his his spike to kick it back into his glove for the out. And the reaction from people around, that I read and heard was, oh, that's a Savannah Banana play. No, that's a major league play from back in an era when people cared about defense and when people practiced fundamentals that allowed them to do the extraordinary when the extraordinary moment came along. I told Riz, and I stand by this, people don't go to baseball games to watch a game the way they used to. They don't sit in a seat for 9 innings and mark a scorecard and wait for the beer guy. Janet Marie Smith created the promenade between the B&O warehouse and the outfield because people watch baseball differently. And everywhere now wants what she said, holding her nose, is called an outfield experience. Let players, as the Bananas do, go into the stands and visit the way Joey Votto did in his second to last year, I believe, in Kansas City. Cincinnati. Let fans let kids touch the uniforms, feel what it's like to sit next to a major leaguer, even for 5 seconds. The most telling example of what the Bananas do right is when one of the chesty party animals, the guys in pink, came and sat down next to a little boy at West Palm. Mike didn't see it, I did. And he hands the kid a pen and he says, "Will you sign my jersey?" And in that moment, in that exchange of roles, he was saying to that kid, "You matter." Because in this country, nothing matters more, apparently, than getting somebody's signature. So I don't go in for it much, but whatever. The Bananas recognize the hunger for interaction and relationship between the fans and what's going on in the field. And I think there are lots of small ways that can make a huge difference. Davey Roberts suggested, and pointed out to me, it used to be that the home team took batting practice second when the gates opened. So you could go down to Yankee Stadium, as I did, to watch Mickey Mantle take batting practice. Everything stopped when the Mick took batting practice. You can't do that anymore. One, because the home team takes batting practice first, and two, because so many of those guys choose not to come out on the field anymore and work out and hit against a Tridec machine where they can bat against an avatar of the starting pitcher. I think that players need to be, required, rotated if you have to, but some of them have to come out and do that, and they should flip the order of batting practice. I think there should be a guy designated to sign autographs after every game, just as Cal Ripken did. These are not high-tech solutions. They're human solutions. And what players have told me over and over again is what's missing in baseball now is what they refer to as the human element, as if we were part of the periodic chart. And we're not the periodic chart. We're the whole thing. We're the whole schmear. And everything else is, a function of humanity, which has been forgotten.
Jane, I've got a question. The book is called Make Me Commissioner. If you were commissioner, would you have allowed the Oakland situation to fester for as long as it did and have the outcome that it did if you had the power? Couldn't Rob Manfred have gone in there and really coaxed a deal between Fisher and, first of all, how about who they allow to own these teams? This guy is one of the biggest creeps that has ever owned a sports franchise. He's owned the A's for what, like 12, 13 years, has never talked to the media?
Right. Would I have allowed it? I would have done everything in my power, including not supporting it financially by waiving fees associated with moving a franchise, to keep that franchise in Oakland. Because guess what? That you want to talk about an energized, caring, passionate fan base. That was the place.
That I agree with you 100%.
And again, in every one of these interactions, it's not just that they took the team away from Oakland, but it sends a message that everything that we can monetize, you know, is more important
Yep.
than the people paying the salaries.
Yep.
And that's wrong. There's got to be a recognition about how much it costs to go to a game. My most radical suggestion, Stan, I think you and I may have talked about it a little
Yeah.
bit at the ballpark. Let kids age 10 and under, accompanied by an adult, get in free.
Yep.
Which
There's
is, to be fair,
baseball.
you know,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I think that he deserved credit at the time. That was something that John Angelos
yeah.
really pushed for in Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm not a genius. I mean, I pick these things from, ideas that other people have tried or floated. But the point is, there are swaths of empty stands at every game. Baseball has the particular dilemma of having, a huge inventory of seats and games. It's easy to sell out 16, 18 NFL games. No problem. It's easy to sell out, bananas when they play one time at Fenway or, a football stadium. Baseball has a bigger, lift than that. And they need a new generation of fans. They've made some progress in lowering the age of season ticket buyers and viewers, but their own research shows that baseball fans are formed young. It's the little kids who learn it for the mom or the dad or whoever it is, or playing little league before they age out of it. That's when you get to capture them, and so let them in. Yeah, I had an economist, a brilliant guy, Michael Halpert, who teaches at the University of Wisconsin lacrosse, take the 2023 Cubbies menu and go through it and calculate, because I can't do this kind of stuff, what it would have cost the Cubs in 2023 to let kids 5 to 12 in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if Grandpa bought a hot dog and Grandma bought a small soda and an ice cream and a cap, it would have cost the Cubs $4 million. Now, that's not chump change to me as a
Right.
human being,
Right.
but it is to every single major league owner. And that same year, they paid Jason Hayward $21 million to play for the Dodgers.
That's a fact. That is an absolute fact. Jane, you reference a few times in the book the changes at Theo Epstein's involvement and what he's done. And I've said a few times, as someone who, and look, we've been scarred in Baltimore by some stretches of some really bad baseball here, but there were times where I would still even say to this day, I have become a localized fan. I am extremely invested. I'm still watching yesterday when the Orioles are well out of the race. I'm very invested still in the Orioles, but I'm not as invested in what's happening in the rest of baseball. I know this has been an extremely exciting couple of weeks with the AL Central and the NL wild card, and I'm just not watching baseball in other places. The Sunday night game doesn't do it for me, and it doesn't seem to be doing it for much of anybody else. That, to me, I guess, is the question is it okay if baseball is a regional sport and the passion is extreme within the region for that team, but it just isn't a national sport the same way? Like, can that work moving forward?
It's working now, and the problem is, and this gets a little bit into the weeds, but I think it's fascinating. This system of local ownership, having local domain over marketing and having to be self-sustaining on the local revenues for TV, started back in the 1880s with a guy who helped organize the National League, William Holpert, who is in the Hall of Fame, and basically, in order to get them to organize into some kind of uniformity, he traded them and said, you can have in perpetuity, you get all the money from anything that's locally developed. Well, in 1880, there wasn't radio. There wasn't wide distribution of newspaper. There wasn't television. There wasn't cable. There wasn't internet. So what we've got is a complete imbalance between completely driven by geography of how much money they have to spend, and that that system reinforces what you're talking about only being a local fan. And I actually I understand why they're spreading themselves, I think, thin over a zillion different platforms. But how many people have you heard say, I would have liked to have watched that game, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
didn't know where to
find
find
it?
it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be a way.
J-
Fine, you want to do deals now? They've got one. Netflix is now going to do the
Right.
home run
Opening day.
derby.
Yeah.
Um, fine, you want to do that? Go ahead and do it, but get somebody smart in there
Right.
to figure out how to make that information available in an easy format, such that if you want to be a national baseball fan, um, baseball doesn't make it so hard to be one.
Well, Jane, it's interesting you say that, and we talked about it with Katie Griggs recently. Stan and I did. There's this consensus that Major League Baseball wants to take the local TV rights, and they want to own all of them. As we've seen them take over for a few of the teams around baseball in the aftermath of Bally Sports. But there's that consensus, and that there's two things they want to do. One, they want to do a red zone channel. They've seen the success that football's found with that, and they want to have their own thing, and that's part of why I've heard that's part of what's driving the talk about the golden at bat, where you could just take anybody and put him up to bat, which I think is absurd, and I have no interest in. But they want to do it for TV reasons. And then the other part of it that just seems like a small thing, but if I watch an Orioles game yesterday, they can't cut in and show me a highlight from any other game that's going on. And so they could mention it, like Kevin Brown could say, hey, also today there's these playoff races. But it's a small thing that I think keeps you engaged in other games, is I'm watching the team that I care about. But if there is something that's really...
If there's a penetration impacting you.
That Jacob Young thing that you're talking about, show me that. Cut in, coming back from commercial break, and say, hey, here's this amazing thing that happened in baseball tonight that we can show you, that I think would go a long way to maybe making it more of a national thing.
I totally agree with you, Glenn. The problem is, and I sympathize with Rob Manfred with this, obviously, what happened in baseball is that as the landscape of broadcast changed, baseball didn't. And they just didn't figure out a way to keep up with sports that were younger, the NBA and the NFL, which came afterwards, and which could make rules changes and adapt to current modes of sharing information in a way that baseball couldn't or just plain didn't. And so they fell behind. And now, of course, they want what football has, which is a national television package that allows you to see whoever you want, whenever you want them, and to split the revenues equally. That's the major impetus, because there is an incredible inequity based on geography about who you can afford to sign, and it's all a function of how much you earn in your TV package. The Royals have historically the last 5 years $40 to $45 billion for their rights, and the Dodgers, as we all know, 8.2 or 3 billion for 8 years. It's just not. It's not fair, and it doesn't make for interest. The national interest would be greater if you didn't start the season knowing that half the teams would be out of it by June.
Yeah. Jane, again, the book is Make Me Commissioner. What has Commissioner Manfred said to you about the book?
I have not heard from him, nor has he heard from me. To be fair, I guess I should call him up. I have sent books to some guys at MLB who helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I've been surprised at how much a lot of people agree with me about some of the changes that would be so easy to make. It just requires stepping outside that box, that we all talk about. Step out of the batter's box, take a different look at things, and say, I told Morgan Sword, who is the executive vice president of baseball, and he's in charge of everything that goes on the field. And I came away from I don't know which game it was. Maybe it was a minor league game, and I said to him, people really want to love baseball.
Yeah.
They just want baseball to love them back.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Who said that?" And I said, "I said that." He said, "What are you, a writer?" So, um, you know, there are legitimate questions that are hard to wrestle with, including the imposition of the robo ump starting next year.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Good.
I've been a proponent of this for about 10 years. I've been wanting the automated ball and strike, and I'm so underwhelmed that in a game where we see roughly 300 pitches a game now, that each team is going to get to challenge 2 times. What in the hell is wrong with getting every ball and strike called correctly, or at least consistently throughout the game? It takes no time for that to electronically come into the umpire's ear, and it's not taking a job away from an umpire. It's changing his job, is translating rather than calling balls and strikes.
Well, I think it's interesting, Stan, that most when MLB did their surveys about that, they found that most players didn't want the full robo.
I understand that. I'm not interested in what the players want.
Well,
the
there,
batting
there's another.
average, the batting average changes so. This is a sport, Jane, that instituted video replay, and now we get stolen bases where a guy's toe comes off for one split second, and we get to challenge that. But balls and strikes, doesn't matter whether it's 2-1 or 1-2. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. The batting average changes so dramatically if the count is 2-1 to 1-2. Why not want to get that right? I don't understand it.
Tell
me, Commissioner.
Tell me. I have I understand the argument you're making, and it is entirely possible that 3 years from now it will be the full robo, and that this is just an interim step. But I think there's a really good question to be asked before that happens. How much do we want? I mean, Joe Torre says early on in this book, they're trying to make an imperfect game perfect, and I resent it. Perfection in baseball, is Sandy Koufax throwing a perfect game. It's not getting every call right or thinking that you can make a prediction about every moment, what's going to happen. Perfection is being able to adjust to the elements. And that includes a bad call, right? You don't know when the wind is going to pick up. You don't know when the ball is going to hit a pebble in the infield. That's what makes baseball great to me, is that, and the indication of greatness is a player's ability to adjust to the circumstances. So how much do we really want this pursuit of technical perfection to run a human game? And I personally don't find perfection that interesting. Davey Roberts the other day, right, in Baltimore, allowed Yamamoto to go for his no-hitter.
Yep.
Yeah. And he had pitched a superb game. And Davey, of course, is known for having pulled Kershaw out of his perfect game in 2022 and Rich Hill out of one because of a blister on his middle finger in 2015. And lots of people I've spoken to argue that, he did exactly the right thing. This time, he did the opposite thing. And Yamamoto gave up the home run to Jackson Holliday, right? Yep. Well, that didn't make it a bad game or a bad result. Not for fans, not for people paying the salary. It made it a better game and a better drama. Here's this guy trying. He's given the opportunity to find out how good he can be, as the spaceman Bill Lee put it, and it found out that he couldn't control everything for all 9 innings. that somebody got his, took that pitch and went with it. So I think the pursuit of perfection is overrated, Stan. And, and I think it's a false value, and there's a difference between perfection and precision.
I think when you have pitchers that are making the amount of money that they make, I want them to not have to waste bullets because of a bad call.
I want them to be able to get the ball in the strike zone because they don't throw 105 miles an hour and can't control where it's going.
All right. Well, we disagree with it on that, Commissioner.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Yeah, believe it or not. The book is Make Me Commissioner. I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to finish it up. At Jane Leavy 1 is how you follow her. Jane, please apologize to whoever you were supposed to talk to next because we kept you way too long. But thank you.
Who called?
Who?
Buck.
Oh,
Buck
did he
called.
really? Well, you know what he's gonna say.
He's probably listening.
I guarantee what he's gonna say is everybody's got time. This is the great thing about Buck. Whenever I say, "Hey, Buck, thanks for taking the time," he says, "I got nothing but time. I got nothing."
You know what I told him? I told him he looked terrible in yellow. Not a good color for him.
Do you think he'll get one more shot at managing a team, Jane?
Oh, I wish you hadn't asked me that, Stan.
Would you? This is a real question, Jane. Would you do it if you were the Orioles?
Wow, I don't see how he and Elias can coexist.
They couldn't coexist. They couldn't.
I think look at the Mets this year. Do you think would be that sloppy? You think the Yankees would be that sloppy if Buck Showalter was running the team?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think the insistence upon doing things right, which seems to have gone the way of the dodo bird. Look at how Ron Washington, taught, coached, pleaded, instructed guys on the Braves and this year until he got sick, the Angels, and how to cut a base right to get an extra 2 inches, which he said rightfully is the difference between being out or safe when you are trying to get the extra bag. That's what I miss so much from current baseball and again, my friend Pekko Hosoi, the creator of the MIT Sports Analytics Lab, who of course is somebody who believes in analytics, also talks about the way in which the algorithms that are being designed to run these games are being designed by people who don't know the games.
Yeah.
And they therefore don't understand how important the context is. So we're talking, there's a big, as she said, there's a big difference between perfection and precision. Is a human umpire less precise? Probably. Though, God knows we'll find out something else that the robo-ump gets caught up on and people are already talking about. Dusty Baker said they need to give a little leeway on the edges. The human eye can't see that difference on the black. They're doing the best they can. So yeah, the machine may be more precise, but does that make it a better game? Does it make it a better viewing experience? I miss Earl Weaver, kicking dirt on people.
I hear you, but there's just so many that are so bad, that are so far off, that are called that I don't know. We could do this for 6 hours. Jane Leavy, thank you for taking the time for us.
Jane.
Really appreciate you. Really enjoying
Thanks,
the book.
guys. It's great to talk to you. Be well.
All right.
Happy
you too.
playoffs.
Yep.
Make Me Commissioner, again, is the book. Jane Leavy with us. Today's show also brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website where you find out everything going on with high school sports, every sport, every schedule, every team, every part of the state. CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Some news from Ravens practice. Someone who returned to practice today that perhaps we were not expecting. I'll tell you about that next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
For fans of the Costas Inn, and who isn't, I have some great news. Now there's a second location to go along with 4100 North Point Boulevard. This one is at the Timonium OTB. This is Stan the Fan, and I have been a fan of the Costas Inn and Triantafalo's family for going on 30 years. They're open for lunch and dinner, same great Costas feel, same great menu and quality food you've been enjoying for well over 50 years. The exact address on your GPS is 2200 York Road, and their phone number at the new location is 667-406-1975. If you're new to the Costas experience, get ready for a real treat. All wrapped up in a new spacious dining room in Timonium at the OTB. If you want steamed crabs, you have them, and the full menu at 4100 North Point Boulevard. The number for reservations there at Costas, 410-477-1975.
2025 Navy football single game tickets are on sale now. Don't miss the exciting home game schedule this year. The games feature exciting American Athletic Conference matchups, including the Commander-in-Chief rival Air Force on Saturday, October 4th. Don't miss all of the exciting action in historic Annapolis at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, and get your tickets today at NavySports.com. Go Navy! Beat Army!
Game day gets even better at Live Casino. Score a live jersey on September 6th and bucket hat on September 27th. Plus, catch our big plays, big pays hot seats on select game days. When the home team scores, the prize pool doubles. And we'll give away a $50 sports and social gift card with every touchdown. Take it to the end zone at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolko profiles Ravens running back Derrick Henry and how the football legend has proven to be a unicorn at the position with the success that he's found after the age of 30. Also inside, Brandon Schwartzberg looks at Kobe Mayo's push to find rhythm at the big league level. And we mark the start of the college football season by meeting players from all 4 FBS and FCS programs throughout the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Following Ravens Chiefs on Sunday, come hang out with us for Project Game Day, PressBoxOnline.com/Game Day. It's all brought to you by Game Day Men's Health, as well as the Costas Inn, 1-800-GAMBLER, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, and Live Casino and Hotel. Myself, Rita, Tyus Bowser, KZ, Stetka, Griffin, the whole crew. Come hang out with us immediately following the game on Sunday. PressBoxOnline.com/Game Day.
Had dinner last night at the Costas Inn Timonium.
The new one?
Yeah.
What'd you have?
Very sad.
They're not doing the pork chop situation?
No
is
pork chops there. No pork chops. No pork chops. Very sad. But
You're
the food was
Stan
great.
The Fan, Charles.
The ribs were great.
You can't
The
say
ribs were great.
to the family Triantafailos,
You know,
when I'm here.
You know, Thursday nights is lobster night.
And look, man, I'm not knocking anything else on the menu, but I'm saying you, I would think, have the power.
I don't have the clout. I even talked to Pete about it, you know.
The Costas Inn is the proud sponsor of the Stan the Fan Variety Hour.
I understand that.
This week was Stan the Fan, Ross Grimsley, and BJ Surhall.
BJ Surhall.
If you haven't seen it, you can go to Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. And we love the Costas Inn with 2 great locations, one in North Point Boulevard, the other in Timonium, and they don't understand that when Stan the Fan Charles comes to the Costas Inn, he wants his pork chop?
They don't understand that.
Maybe they knew because it was Rosh Hashanah. They were like, I would stand with
had nothing to do with Rosh Hashanah.
Okay.
No, nothing to do. They had ribs.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure they were wonderful because everything about the Costas Inn is wonderful.
So they were delicious. I just wanted pork chops.
Who do we need to? You tell me. Stan, it's just you and I.
I might have to go to Nick.
Will you tell me what I
actually
need to...
literally go to Nick because
Yeah,
if I go to North Point Boulevard, they have pork chops.
I don't know how I feel about any of this. Don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah. Anyway, the
we
dinner
love the
was
Costas
great.
Inn. I'm sure
7 people, very happy.
I'm sure
very
that's
happy
the case.
people.
6 out of 7 happy, yeah.
Perhaps something that could make you very happy would be that Kyle Van Noy returned to practice today for the Baltimore Ravens. Perhaps that will make you very happy. There you have it, according to Jeff Zrebeck. Kyle Van Noy back on the practice field. Now, originally the reporting from Jeremy Fowler was multiple weeks for Kyle Van Noy. He has missed one so far. Kyle Van Noy is definitely the type of player that the Ravens would say, if you can go, we're not concerned about how many times you practiced, we'll let you go. But it's not always the case. When somebody shows up for practice on the Friday of the previous week, sometimes that means they're really looking towards the
following
next
week.
And so this is a chance to stack some practices. So I don't want to overreact to any of it. But Kyle Van Noy was on the practice field
That's
today.
great even if he comes back next week.
That would be good news. Yeah. I do agree with that. More concerning, Ronnie Stanley missed practice for a third straight day. I had assumed this was we'll get him back out there on Friday type of situation. Ronnie Stanley, dealing with an ankle issue, misses practice again. As Jeff said, he was in uniform but working with a trainer on another field. Again, 2 things I would say. The first would be Ronnie Stanley is definitely someone that they would say, if you're healthy enough to go, we don't care that you haven't practiced all week. You can go. If he can go, he'll go. This is not because he didn't practice, it's a guarantee he doesn't play. We'll see what the injury report says this afternoon.
They just have to be careful with an ankle. Can get tricky.
And really anything related to Ronnie Stanley, frankly.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, what would that be if Ronnie Stanley can't go? Is it Rosengarten at left tackle and somebody else at right tackle? Is it Joe Noteboom playing
it sounded
left
like
tackle?
I think Jonas shared something. He said he believes that Noteboom would be the 1-for-1 and he'd jump up the left tackle. Yeah.
So we'll see. But Ronnie Stanley not practicing again today. Travis Jones did practice again today, but Broderick Washington also did not practice. So a depleted Ravens defensive line looks more and more as though they'll be without Broderick Washington on top of
Could you go if they needed a few plays?
I could give them, I think, 2. I think I got 2 snaps in me. If I survive the first one, right? If I survive, if I'm still alive,
is there a possibility? I think about the same. I think I could do 2 plays.
Yes.
You know, one being carted off the field.
Right. And then
the first one, I think I could get through.
No, I don't think I can get through either one of them. I'm saying that, like, if I play the first snap, and
maybe
then
we could do a tag team.
And then I've got like 3 hours to recover. I could maybe get back out there in time for the final snap of the game.
Yeah.
That might be the case. I might have those 2 in me.
Okay.
And then Warren Sharp with information that you're not going to want to read. The lead official for Sunday's game is Clay Martin. Since 2020, in games officiated by Clay Martin, the Ravens are 0-3. The Chiefs are 6-0.
Well, it's over. I mean,
he points out that apparently among Martin's tendencies, third down offensive penalties and low defensive pass interference rate. And so he did some podcast about it, so you can check that out.
I feel like that would kind of, I don't know. The Ravens have the better secondary on paper, right? So maybe
I have no idea what that means whatsoever. All I know is
the better secondary only works when you get some pressure on the quarterback.
It would be good to get some
Well, I'm
pressure.
saying if Marlon Humphrey is able to hold 25 yards downfield, that'll be beneficial.
And then the Seahawks do indeed open up NFL Week 4 with a victory. Got very interesting after they were up 2 touchdowns, and the Cardinals suddenly Marvin Harrison Jr. decided. Marvin Harrison Jr. did this bit where he was like, "What if I was a football player?" And
he looked pretty good that second half.
Yeah, he did not look good in the first half at all. Looked lost, and then in the fourth quarter really came on. And they made things very interesting, tied it up. There was some squabble about whether or not Gannon should have gone for 2.
Whether or not he should have. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't have made a difference. They gave up a field goal the other way. So how does that help?
Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah.
The argument
What would help is if their
missed the
kicker didn't screw up and the ball came out to the 40-yard line.
Be careful.
Yeah, Chad Ryland, who also made a 57-yarder.
Yeah, but I mean that's
well,
unconscionable.
Everyone is having the same problems. The kickoff is so effing convoluted now that it's leading to more and more of this.
It sucks.
But do you think he didn't understand the rule?
No, I think he knew the rule. I think he was intentionally trying to do something there because now
Didn't Luke try to do that on Monday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the problem isn't even a regular touchback is putting them on the edge of field goal range at this point. So you're purposely trying to drop the ball into this spot, and it is extraordinarily difficult to do. And I think if the NFL is going to continue this, this is the conclusion I've come to. And it sounds contrived, but let's be fair. All of the kickoff rule is contrived. This is all fake and
Sam Darnold gets a game-winning drive for picking up 1 first down.
Correct. Correct. What I'm saying is the NFL should abandon the kickoff rule in the final 2 minutes. In the final 2 minutes, they should just make it so a touchback is the 25.
Go back to playing. It would be almost like the reverse of the It would be almost like the reverse of the ghost rule.
Correct. They want what they want out of this is they want kick returns back in play, and they've gotten that this season. Kick returns have become an offensive play again. They've gotten exactly what they wanted out of it. But it is too punitive in the final couple minutes of a game to a sport that is stacked for offense. Everything about the sport, all of the rules are stacked towards offense. So if you want to keep this charade with the kickoff because you're getting what you want of it out of it, and you want...
Well, remember, they also want to get less injuries, and I think it's having that impact.
There has been some benefit, but the previous rule had less injuries, but teams were just saying, we'll live with the ball being at the 30-yard line.
Right.
They purposely made it more punitive to get people to stop kicking because what they really want, and they can't say out loud, is... their advertisers want people back on their couch for the kickoff. And what football fans were saying was, I can leave during the commercials, and I have a buffer. I have the buffer of the extra point on one side. I have the buffer of the kickoff on the other side. I have a buffer where I can leave.
I can leave.
And so now what they're saying is, no, you can't leave because you can't miss the extra point that might be missed. We backed it up, right? Like it's possible the extra point's going to be missed. That's why they backed up the extra point. And
this is all about keeping you from going to the bathroom.
They don't want you to piss. They want you to injure your urethra. That's what the NFL wants.
They want you to eat food, and they want you to not go to the bathroom.
100%. That's what they want. They want you to be
as unhealthy
to stay,
as their
exactly
players.
Right. They want you to stay on the couch. That's what they want. But in the final 2 minutes of the game, maybe final 5 minutes, whatever you want to call it, it's too punitive. It's too punitive, the kickoff rule. Touchback at the 25, give them a shot to play some defense.
Right. So inside 2 minutes, you can boot it through the end zone and they start at the 25.
But if that ball landed one more yard across that line, it wouldn't have come out to the 40.
No, it would have been the 20.
Right.
And that's what they were going for. He was going for getting the ball on the 20.
Right,
but it's so incredibly difficult. You have to be. This is Jane Leavy talking about precision. You have to be so precise in that spot.
Right.
It's a nonsense. It really does become nonsense in these late game situations. And I get it. Why would a kickoff in the final 2 minutes be any different than a kickoff? Well, you make it so that out of bounds is a different rule at different parts of the game, right? Like
clock stops, clock doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
that's at all parts of the game, right? If
not
it
at
goes
all.
Out of bounds.
No, if a player goes out of bounds in the
5 minutes.
No,
yeah,
I'm talking about the ball going out of bounds on a kickoff.
Oh, right. I'm
Yeah,
saying
okay.
I'm saying there is precedent for rules being different in the final minutes of a half than
Final
in
X minute, yeah.
correct than in the rest of the game. So for me, you want to keep this charade going with the kickoff, fine, keep it going, but change it in the final 2 minutes and don't put teams in that spot where essentially look, the NFL would say we got out of it what we want. We don't want anybody taking a knee with 20 seconds left. We want them going for it with 20 seconds left, and we got exactly what we wanted out of it.
Yeah.
But it's not fair to competition. It's not fair. All right, we got to come back in and get a tidbit and two to wrap it up. You staying? You going?
I'm staying.
Should I stay or should I go?
This man sticking it out until the bitter end. We'll come back in. Tidbit and two-bit to wrap it up. Glenn Clark Radio. Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
For fans of the Costas Inn, and who isn't, I have some great news. Now there's a second location to go along with 4100 North Point Boulevard. This one is at the Timonium OTB. This is Stan the Fan, and I have been a fan of the Costas Inn and Triantafalo's family for going on 30 years. They're open for lunch and dinner, same great Costas feel, same great menu and quality food you've been enjoying for well over 50 years. The exact address on your GPS is 2200 York Road, and their phone number at the new location is 667-406-1975. If you're new to the Costas experience, get ready for a real treat. All wrapped up in a new spacious dining room in Timonium at the OTB. If you want steamed crabs, you have them, and the full menu at 4100 North Point Boulevard. The number for reservations there at Costas, 410-477-1975.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Looking for Baltimore's premier waterfront dining experience? Head to Nick's Fish House, located in the Baltimore Peninsula. Enjoy crabs all year long, plus happy hour Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. Planning a celebration? From rehearsal dinners to corporate crab feasts, Nick's is the spot to make it unforgettable. And the fun doesn't stop there. Live music fills the air every Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full lineup at nicksfishhouse.com. Nick's, it's where Baltimore comes to eat, drink, and play by the water.
Game day gets even better at Live Casino. Score a live jersey on September 6th and bucket hat on September 27th. Plus, catch our big plays, big pays hot seats on select game days. When the home team scores, the prize pool doubles. And we'll give away a $50 sports and social gift card with every touchdown. Take it to the end zone at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
What did you want to know, Colson? No, it's 2 wrong challenges. If you challenge and you get it right, you keep it. Yeah, you have 2 wrong challenges. But again, you could be wrong by a tenth of a millimeter, and then you lose your challenge in the process.
Well, don't be wrong.
Nailed it.
I
Nailed
did
it.
2
Or
challenges
just get the calls right. What a concept!
I think Stan is right. We should have had the 2 challenges 8 years ago, but
that's a fact.
That's what we waited 8 years, like 8 years for the technology, so we can get two challenges.
Maryland5star.us. Get your tickets right now for the 5th annual Mars Maryland 5-Star, October 16th through 19th at Fair Hill in Cecil County. It's not only a world-class sporting event, it's also a celebration of the fall here in the state of Maryland. The Corgi Cup, the ponies, the Food and Wine Festival, great shopping. Maryland 5-Star is back.
Did we mention great food and beverage?
Yeah, the Food and Wine Festival is awesome. 19 days away from the Maryland 5-Star. I always walk out with free things, too, whenever I go, because I wander over to some of the vendors, and they're just like, here, have this. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it. So make sure you're up there, Maryland5star.us, with the number 5 in order to get your tickets. Covered everything we needed to cover, right? We're good.
So Bo pointed out that if that's trying to figure out what to do with Zaire Mitchell-Payton, because would they have to they would have to elevate him if
he's going to play.
So if Likely can go, I guess that would maybe shift Kohler more into that
that role.
Into that
You're
fullback,
right.
tight end role, and then or they IR Matabike, I guess would be the simpler.
That would seem to be the options at this point, unless they need another defensive lineman. Although they could keep, if they're gonna, presumably Taven Bryan's going to be elevated, I would assume, this week. So they would have 3 weeks to figure that out with him. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by the print issue of Press Box, and a reminder that there is no such thing as a curse. Curses are not real. There's not a thing. Everybody knows that. We don't have to talk about it. We don't even have to bring it up. But apropos of nothing, Derrick Henry's on the cover of this print issue of Press Box. Go get it today, and we're just a couple of weeks away from a new print issue of Press Box.
Maybe if we put on the cover the pork chop said.
Then you get them back.
Or maybe they will be cursed.
Or right. Maybe they'll stop doing them at North Point Boulevard
no curse,
too.
Stan. What are you talking about?
There's no such thing as a curse. We know that. Everyone knows.
No curse.
There's no broadcaster curse. There's no cover curse. There's no any of those things. And go get this print issue with Derrick Henry.
Charlie Morton got scooped up by the Braves.
Who can blame him?
And he is scheduled to start on Sunday, and I don't think he's made anything official about this being like a retirement game, but it would be a nice fitting retirement game.
That's where we're heading on
for
that.
Charlie Morton, because they would also the Braves are playing Pittsburgh, so it'd be the 2 franchises that he spent the majority of his career, Atlanta and Pittsburgh. So hopefully, just wishing Charlie all the best as he heads into the sunset.
You got it.
First time, this is the first season since the 6th division era in Major League Baseball, where at least one team from all 6 divisions had a lead of at least 5.5 games at some point, and at some point later in the season fell out of first place after that lead. So every division has had a team.
Every division?
All 6 divisions have had the division
Cubs
leader.
The Cubs led the Brewers by over 5.5 games.
That is correct. Okay. That is correct. First season since 1994, since the 6th division.
Interesting.
Yes.
Hang on, real quick. Let's go over what's still at stake this weekend.
A lot.
There's a lot at stake.
So the Guardians and Tigers are tied now.
Jane Daniels isn't playing this week.
The team that looks like it's going to be on the outside looking in is the Houston Astros.
They are a game back of whoever would not be the AL Central winner.
Who does Houston have this weekend, Stan?
Houston has
They're
the
in
Angels.
They're in Anaheim,
And Angels.
And who do the Guardians and Tigers have?
The Tigers
have
play
Boston in Fenway.
Boston.
And
Toronto
Boston
plays Tampa, right?
Did we ever do that?
Boston didn't lock anything up yet, but they have a half game, or sorry, they have a 1 game lead over Detroit
to host a playoff, to host the wild card.
No, for the 5 seed.
For the 5 seed.
Yeah,
Wasn't
it
the 5
seems
seed?
like I don't think they can get the. I don't think they can get the 4 seed. The Yankees are the 4 seed right now. They're 4 games back to the Yankees. Yes, they cannot get the.
Okay, so they then legitimately have nothing.
Well, they haven't. They could if they get swept by Detroit and Houston sweeps Anaheim, they would be out.
Who are the Yankees playing this weekend?
The Yankees are us, the Orioles.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Cleveland is hosting Texas.
Yeah.
All right, so that's in the American League. In the National League, the Mets now have a 1 game lead over the Reds. And
Reds have the tiebreaker over.
Interesting,
the Mets.
and they have a 2 game lead over the Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks would need them both to lose. Diamondbacks would need the Mets to get swept, I think, by the Marlins.
Okay.
And I mean, they would obviously have to win out as well. They're playing in San Diego, and I think San Diego is still. Can San Diego still win the division, Stan?
They're 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, if the Dodgers lose all 3 games,
yeah.
The Dodgers play Seattle.
Yes. Yeah. They do.
Weird interleague series to wrap the season,
Yeah.
but I get it. There has to be an interleague series at all points during the course of the year. That's the way that it goes.
Is that the Vetter Cup or whatever, or is that? That's the Padres.
I think
that's the
Padres.
Padres.
And then the Padres are 2 games back of the Cubs to try to host a wild card series and get the 4 seed.
Gotcha.
So that's the picture going into the final weekend of the Major League Baseball regular season.
Reds are in Milwaukee.
Okay.
But is Milwaukee...
Has they locked up the 1 seed?
No, they're 2 games up on Philly. But we know that Philly and Milwaukee will have the bye, so I guess they can kind of try hard. Like they're, to try
I
to
would
get
think
that
you'd
1
want to
seed.
try to host the NLCS. I think you'd want to try to go for that. But we know that's the end. That whoever wins that, whoever the 1 seed is in the NL, would have the advantage for the World Series, unless, of course, it's a wild card team that
Has anybody clinched a bye in the American League? Has Seattle clinched a bye now?
No,
they have. They're 4 games up on the Guardian or on the AL Central.
You're right. And they still have a shot at the 1 seed as well.
Okay.
Correct. They're only a game
It'll
behind
either be
the Blue
New York
Jays
or
for the
Toronto. One of them's going to get a bye. One of them's going to have to host a playoff series. Host a wild card series.
All right, what you got? We got to go.
What do I have? Jackson Dart. Yeah, we can save that. How about Cal Raleigh? We're talking switch hitters. He's only at 150 or so career home runs.
Yeah.
How about the most home runs all time by a switch hitter? There are 5 gentlemen with 400. So there's 10.
Eddie Murray,
Eddie Murray,
Mickey Mantle.
Yep.
Chipper Jones got the 400.
Yep, 468. Mick, Eddie, Chipper, 1, 2, 3. 2 other guys with 400 switch home runs.
2 other guys with 400.
Beltran.
Yeah, Carlos Beltran.
Better
get in the Hall of Fame.
Reggie Smith.
Terry McLaurin's not playing.
Reggie Smith's
No, Reggie Smith's
I don't think he got there, but I know this has come up every time we've done switch hitter stuff. Berkman.
No, Berkman 366.
So we're looking at one more switch
hitter.
Maury Wills.
No, not Maury Wills.
I'm not. All right, give us something. I don't think it's Ken Singleton.
No, it is not Ken Singleton. I thought I saw Singleton's name.
He
had 246. He's 20th all time, Ken Singleton. What's a good hint I can give? The pride of St. Joe, Mount St. Joe.
Oh, Teixeira.
Yes, Mark Teixeira.
Teixeira.
Noted good guy. Just all around swell fella.
409. Then there's 10 guys with 300 switch home runs.
No,
You named Berkman.
no,
and you
we gotta
named
go.
Reggie
We
Smith.
gotta. I have 6. I know.
3 others.
I have legitimately
Kadri will do all the
7
work tonight.
games
You
that
don't
I'm
have to-
doing this weekend.
Kadri's
I do
gonna
not
carry
have
the load
time.
tonight.
I gotta go. Gotta go.
Chili Davis.
Okay.
Carlos Santana has 335 home runs. He's
about
8th
that?
all-time switch hitters.
And he made Smooth with Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20.
Ruben Sierra is 10.
How about that?
10 guys with 300 switch home runs.
I once wore him out from right field with some buddies of mine during Orioles Ruben Sierra during an Orioles Rangers game. I mean, we were all over him from the bleachers.
Really?
Oh my God! He tapped out actually at one point. He literally turned around and said, "Guys, you got me." I'm like, shout out.
Ruben Sierra was only hit by 7 pitches in his career.
How about that? Tubular is brought to you.
Over 8,000 at bats.
Wonderful. By Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Best place to watch all the games. All big fight nights is Inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. All right, Orioles-Yankees to wrap up the season. Tonight on Masson, 7:05, Trevor Rogers and Will Warren. It's also on MLB Network nationally. Tomorrow, also on MLB Network nationally, 1:05 for Tomo Sagano and Cam Schlittler. That's on Masson as well. And on Sunday, 3:05, all the Major League Baseball games at 3:05 on Sunday. Cobb Radish and Luis Heel on Masson. All right, what else? What else matters? Ryder Cup underway. The U.S. is getting their ass kicked.
Go Europe. I bet on Europe.
Oh, yeah? You put some money because Drew told you to? Today on USA, tomorrow and Sunday on NBC. NFL this weekend, CBS, Commanders, Falcons at 1, and then, of course, Ravens, Chiefs at 4:25. Don't forget the Sunday morning game on NFL Network, Vikings, Steelers from Dublin at 9:30 a.m. Yeah, Fox has Eagles, Buccaneers locally at 1, and the Sunday night game, Packers, Cowboys, 8:20 on NBC. College football tomorrow, Rice at Navy at 3:30 on CBS Sports Network, Towson's at Bryant at 1 on Flow Sports. And as I said, I'm doing the Atlas Cup on Sunday over at USA Lacrosse, and we're giving away $5,000 this weekend. All you got to do is watch on YouTube. It's a weird bit. I don't know what that's all about. Every quarter of every game, we're giving away cash. It's crazy.
You can watch Mount St. Mary's Marist men's soccer tomorrow.
That's the big
as well.
one. That's what
we're not giving away
everybody's
any cash
saying.
to anyone that watches.
Well, then why would you bother? Why would you bother at that
but
point?
it is going to be on.
Doesn't matter. All right, very good. Stan, you're back in action on Monday?
Back in action with Luke and Ross Grimsley. And we're going to continue that Monday show through the
World Series?
Through the World Series.
Excellent. Look forward to that. It's all brought to you by the Costa Sin, where you can go to the OG on North Point Boulevard and get a delicious pork chop. And you can go to the new one in Timonium, and you can get some delicious ribs and crab cakes. And
everything else on the menu
except
the
pork chops and steamed crabs. That's it. That's the only 2 things not available.
I beg you, if you go to the
tell them.
Timonium,
Demand them.
where are the pork chops?
We need them back. Let's make it happen. All right.
Did you want to watch this? So Roy Kent is in this rom-dram on Apple TV Plus. Looks pretty good. With Imogen Poots is her name, I think. I don't know her from anything.
I do like Roy Kent. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
What's his real name?
Why
are we doing this?
Brett Goldstein.
God damn.
You don't want to watch It's like 30-second teaser. It's probably not going to hit now that you.
He's
are
got
so
6
mad.
or 7
I have
games
7
to get
games.
ready.
I have
He's got
so much to
7
do this
games
He
week.
signed
to
up
get.
for that. He also has a show. I mean,
Yeah, but I didn't know we had to watch Roy Kent's rom-com.
It's not a rom-com. It's a rom-dram.
Oh, well, that's
I mean, I'm sure there'll be funny parts.
Much different.
Please change to Central
You know this is going to ruin our friendship.
Roy Kent.
I do love Roy Kent. Don't get me wrong.
No, it won't.
It will be the end of everything.
Why?
Everyone we know is taking the test. As soon as they meet their soulmate, they vanish.
That's not true.
It happens to everyone. As soon as they take the test. We've lost too many good people to this bloody test.
They haven't gone to war, Simon.
No, it's much worse. They're in love.
Okay, that's a thing.
When you're not into
Don't
it?
think I'm gonna be watching what all.
It's Roy Kent.
Is it what's it called? All for you, all of you. If it was all for you, that'd be
Take a
better because that's
test.
the name
They
of
take
the
a
Sister
test and it
Hazel
tells
song.
you who
All right,
your soulmate is.
Enough.
And then they stop being friends with their other friends.
When the hell is Saturday Night Live start, by the way?
Next weekend.
Next weekend?
Yeah.
It doesn't start till October.
October 4th.
What is that schedule?
I don't know. I don't make
What
the.
in the world?
Go ahead. Go.
Look this up for your wife.
You know the higher.
AOL. It's a horse sees a zebra for the first time.
The one thing that
like
we're not going to get is the Savant, which was also supposed to be on Apple TV. This is Jessica Chastain, and they pulled it because I think they think it's too real now. She's like a computer whiz or something, and she infiltrates online hate groups in an effort to stop domestic
pulled it?
extremists. Yeah, it was supposed to premiere this week.
Savant?
The Savant, yeah. And it's not going to premiere this. I think they still want to drop it at some point, but I think.
Wow,
that's awkward.
Love
That is
Jessica
very
Chastain.
awkward. You know what movie you should spend no time with because it sucks.
What?
Swiped.
Oh no, Swipe
It
wasn't
is
good.
terrible.
That's a bummer.
I mean, unwatchable bad.
I guess it wasn't really
New
on my
Slow
list.
Horses started. And also on Apple.
I think Superman's on HBO Max.
Is the new the new
kids will be excited
the new Spike Lee joint?
Oh,
Highest
right,
to
with Denzel
lowest.
Washington.
Denzel and
A$AP
Jeff
Rocky.
Wright.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
Hi, Leah.
Not great, but entertaining. Denzel Washington.
I really wanted to get my hair cut before I drove to Kent Island today. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, look good for the Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
Why can't you do it for the Western
What?
Shore? Why
Shut
can't you look
up.
good
Would
for the
you
Western?
shut up. Thanks today to
Why does the Eastern Shore get so lucky?
Stan. Thanks to Jane Leavy. Thanks also to Brandon Noble. We'll get it up in the greatest hits section of the
Aspiration
tab at glennclarkradio.com. There is a bat around Sunday morning, and then we'll have Project Game Day after the game on Sunday, and then, of course, we'll be back on Monday, and Tracy Wolfson will join us after she is on the sidelines for CBS on Sunday. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Game Day Men's Health, Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, CountySports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com, the Costa Sin, the Maryland 5-Star, Navy Football, Nick's Fish House, and more. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great weekend. Go Birds, go Ravens, go Navy, go Towson, go Morgan. Duke sucks.